Welcome to Hey Chaplain. My name is Jared Altick, and I'm a chaplain with the police department. In the summer of 2025, my hometown of Kansas City, Kansas, lost 2 officers murdered in the line of duty, Deputy Elijah Ming and Officer Hunter Simoncic. Because they were killed just 30 days apart, we had 2 large, complex line-of-duty death funerals at the local major soccer league stadium, one funeral just a few weeks after the other. We are still grieving and trying to process these losses, and as part of that process, I wanted to offer our experiences as a resource to other agencies. So my guest today is Captain Shenee Davis from the police department. She was involved in the logistics and planning for both funerals, starting with the motorcycle escorts for the fallen and extending to an almost endless list of other responsibilities in the op plan. Though Captain Davis was just one part of a much larger team, I felt that she represented the group's experience really well, and I think you'll learn a lot from what she went through. Here's Captain Shenee Davis. Hello, Shenee. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad you're here today. Can you tell me a little bit about your background and what have you done in law enforcement?
Yeah, so I started in law enforcement as a dispatcher, actually, for about 2 years. I got tired of being behind the radio, so I joined KCKPD and went through the academy. Just regular district work as an officer. I got promoted to the rank of sergeant and had an opportunity to join our SWAT team. So I did that for about 4 years as a sergeant on a SWAT team. That was a lot of fun. And then got promoted to the rank of captain. Went back to my dispatch roots and got assigned to our communications division for about 2 years. And then I went back to district, and I'm currently over our community policing, traffic, and CIT unit.
What's been your favorite role?
I would have to say SWAT. That's probably been one of the highlights of my career. It was a huge challenge. I was the first female to join the SWAT team, so it was a great accomplishment for me. And I learned a lot of things in there.
Well, that's part of the reason I brought you in, because you had some new responsibilities this summer that I don't think were probably on your bucket list, but you tackled them and handled them really, really well. So talk to me about the day that Deputy Ming was killed.
The day Deputy Ming was killed, I was acting major, and the other area that would cover is our SWAT team. So I had my units, and then I was acting over the SWAT team. So we got the call out, which is how I ended up on scene.
What did you know when you got the call out?
Not a whole lot. The information, we knew something had happened. We knew that there was an officer down. We knew that there were shots fired, but we didn't really know if the scene was still active or not. Coming in, having the radio on, trying to kind of figure out what was going on. Not a lot of clear information. I mean, we've all had those calls where it's just mass chaos on the air, and there's so much happening that there's not really a clear picture for those of us that are coming in. I remember there being a ton of cars everywhere and trying to figure out how to get the Bearcat in. Was Deputy Ming still pinned down somewhere? Was he already out and on the way to the hospital? Like, it was just a lot of chaos.
Yeah. So you are pulling in. I assume that your SWAT guys were not all working. It was a Saturday.
Correct.
And so they're coming in from all around, from every direction.
Yes.
Right. And you've got to get them assembled. You got to get the equipment out there. Finally, the scene does clear at some point. Okay. Everybody's been transported and arrested, and because you had a standoff there for a little while.
Yeah, we did.
With the suspect.
Yeah, the captain of the SWAT team was working, and the sergeant. So I'm really just kind of listening to the overall. And I can hear the team talking back and forth on their own channel. Like, where are we going to meet? Someone get the Bearcat, someone get the equipment, and just trying to get everybody rallied up to one area, trying to figure out where the command post is, negotiators en route, all of the things are happening on the air. Yeah.
But the scene does eventually reach a point where your crew could go home. But tell me about that. You were thinking, okay, I'm getting ready to send everybody home, but...
Yeah, so we end up at the command post. All the normal players are there, the colonel, the chief, the captain of the SWAT team. Everything's kind of starting to settle down a little bit. People are going to do interviews, and then you start thinking about the things that you haven't had time to think about until then, right? So we think about all of the district officers that were on scene that had a part in this. Now they're at the bureau, and they're giving statements, and no one's there to run the city. So the SWAT team transitioned from dealing with a barricade to now running calls for service because we don't have any other bodies in. And then we transitioned to, okay, well, I had some traffic guys that are in. I had some community policing guys that are in. We're good. We can start sending them home. And then I get a phone call from one of the senior traffic officers. And he said, hey, are we putting a call out for motors? Yeah, we need to figure that out.
Explain that to me. What is he asking for and what's required?
So at that point, we had gotten the information that Deputy Ming had deceased, and now we need to start transitioning to overwatch for him and giving him an escort anywhere he goes, and just the things that go along with making sure that we take care of our fallen and give them the proper honors that they deserve.
So he's asking if he can contact the different agencies across the entire metro to prepare to run motorcades and doing a motorcycle escort every time that the fallen officer is going to be moved.
Correct.
So from the hospital to the coroner, from the coroner to the funeral home, from the funeral home to the actual funeral. And when he's left at any location, he's not going to be left alone.
Correct. When it clicked in my brain that, now we need to transition to providing an escort and get motors out, I had called my colonel because it wasn't our officer, it was our deputy, right? So technically a different agency. And I had asked him, like, hey, I know my motors are in. We can handle this. Do we need to call the sheriff's office and ask him, like, do we need to get Sheriff's Optics approval to start making these arrangements, or should we just do it? And so it was kind of a difficult, we're here willing and able to do it.
But do you have the right to make that call?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
I know the sheriff's office didn't have a motor unit. So the assumption is that they would request ours, but they have a lot of things to worry about and a lot of stuff going on. So we decided to just go ahead and make arrangements for it. And it worked out.
Was that okay, do you think?
Yes.
Do you think you should have done that? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I learned...
Sometimes you ask for permission, sometimes you ask for forgiveness.
Right.
Right? And
so... yeah. And I learned a lot of times through this experience that I think I even told our people at one point, like, our job is to make sure that the sheriff's office doesn't have to worry about anything right now because they have enough to worry about.
Excellent. That's an excellent attitude, too. And that particular call is easy because they didn't have a motor unit.
Yes.
And so it's like, well... surely they would turn to us first anyway.
Correct.
So we'll make the arrangements, talk to other agencies in the metro. Okay.
Yeah. So I had invited myself to a vigil meeting. I asked my colonel, I was like, hey, I hear there's a meeting for arrangements, and especially with being in charge of the motors. Like I knew there would be discussions had and information put out, so I could at least try to let the area motors know if we had any dates or what to expect or when. It
seemed reasonable to insert yourself there so that you could help better.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thankfully, my colonel let me come. So I joined in on a meeting, and we were specifically discussing the vigil at that point, which I had experience with running for a different agency a couple years back. So again, willing to help. And I had asked, who's your kind of lead on this? And he pointed me to Deputy Morris. So I went over and spoke with her. Another interesting part of the motors is also the family escorts. So a lot of times for vigils, we will give the family an option if they want an escort to the vigil. So trying to kind of figure out, like, hey, does the family want an escort? That's something we can definitely do. You guys let us know.
Yeah.
And so I started speaking with her about it. And I said, hey, if there's anything that, I can do to help, just let me know. I'm here. So I spoke with Captain Holloway, And we had kind of discussed like, hey, let's just try and help as much as we can. We'll run the ops plans and that kind of stuff. And it was a natural fit for him as well because he is over our SWAT team and there would be overwatch for the vigil. So I just started giving people my information. And I was like, hey, if you have questions, give me a call, let me know. Or I would reach out to people for whatever needed to be handled.
To have some fuzzy lines about who's in charge of what or how much they should do, that's a pretty natural thing.
It's absolutely natural.
A good thing to prepare for, regardless of how big your agency is let's clarify all of that now when we don't have an emergency, when we're not all emotional, when we're not in the midst of other confusion. Let's clarify those things now. Who should be in charge of what? Who are we reaching out to? Here's our list of people we're going to call. Who are we bringing in from outside agencies?
Absolutely.
Et cetera. And so you guys got to see a bit of some of that not being ideal.
Right.
Where and it worked. I mean, we were able to have the vigil and the funeral for Deputy Ming, and there was a lot of moving parts that it all got done. And I can tell you, I was there at Deputy Ming's funeral. It looked fantastic. Good. And so it, as far as what was presented to the public, it all went really well as far as everyone coming together and making it work. And a lot of people, you were involved and a lot of others were there.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, you guys, though, were saying, let's make sure we do this smoother. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to rephrase that.
It's a hard, you want to give the proper honors to the fallen.
Right.
And so you want everything to be perfect and exactly the way that the family wants it, the department wants it. And it's one of those things that you hope to never perfect.
Yeah. You want to do it well, but you don't want to have practice doing it. Yeah. And the department and the family have different needs. Mm-hmm. And so once you start involving family members and family members' churches and all that kind of stuff, it gets complicated. Yeah. And there might actually be mutually exclusive goals where the family wants this, the department wants that, and that stuff. Because the family probably doesn't know what the traditional honors are.
No idea.
For a fallen officer.
That's something that we have a list of honors because it's just not, if you don't have experience with it, you don't even know. I had one of my buddies from the National Academy reached out to me to check on me, and she was like, what do you mean you gave them a list of honors? And I said, there's a list of things that you can do for an officer. Yeah. And she's like, can you send that to me? I'm like, absolutely. Yeah. Because I didn't have it until someone sent it to me. You know what I mean? And that's one of those things you don't want to figure out the day of when you're trying to grieve and do logistics and figure everything else out.
And here in a major metropolitan area, we have the means to do those things. Mm-hmm. Getting a rifle team, that's not a problem. Yeah. Getting a flyover
apparently not a problem.
Was apparently not a problem. Yes. That's impressive. There's flyovers and rifle teams and taps being played on a bugle, which you can do on a bugle that's not a real bugle, that's just playing a recording.
Right.
Or you can bring in musicians who will play on a bugle. And
which we did.
Yeah. And that's a different ask to bring somebody in who can actually play a trumpet or a bugle and play taps. And so you have color guard and pipe band, and there's so many parts to a line of duty death funeral, and the family has completely different desires and needs and whatever. And so you're trying to merge the two, and that can be challenging.
It can be. Yeah. Very challenging. I think the family liaisons are a huge part in that.
Yeah.
Having family liaisons, I can't imagine doing that specific responsibility, but I could imagine would be very much comforting the family, trying to explain all of this stuff to them, see what their wishes are, and then going back to the department and saying, hey, this is what they want. This is what they don't want.
Yeah.
And then you have I know you would have a million questions because I asked a million questions of our family liaison. Yeah. Like, here's your list for today. This is the stuff I need to know.
So after Ming's funeral, did you guys have any kind of debrief? Did you even get a chance to do that? Where you discussed, hey, here's what we learned. Here's what we would do different.
The group that I worked with, I'm used to working with them. The other captains that I was with, primarily, we've done trainings together. We've, spearheaded things together before. So we're always debriefing, amongst
always
ourselves.
Talking through it and evaluating and that kind of thing.
And one of the big things with Ming, unfortunately, we had manuals of how to do officer's funeral from previous deaths. But we didn't have an edited version. And so
it not been updated in several years.
Yes.
We were 9 years away from our most recent line of duty deaths. And the sheriff's office was 7 years away from their most recent line of duty deaths. And so nothing's been updated in a few years.
Right. So that was one of Captain Holloway took on that responsibility of, we're putting this in a PowerPoint form where we can edit it and we can update it, and having that one master copy for moving forward if we needed it. Yeah.
Ming's funeral, you get through that, and you guys are processing, what we went through and what we were able to provide and how well that went, pulling that together. And then just a couple weeks later, we had another line of duty death, and this time it was one of ours.
Yeah.
And so Hunter Simoncic was killed. When did you hear about Simoncic's death?
I got a page that night. I got a page about, kind of unclear if it was an accident or intentional. But I called the captain that was working, and he said Officer Simoncic was struck by a vehicle. He's at the hospital, and they just pronounced him.
Yeah.
So I asked where he was and told him I'd be there pretty soon.
Yeah. So you're having to redeploy all the same kinds of resources, like your motor unit is going to have to be available. They just had done this. In fact, it was a month to the day from Ming's death.
Yeah.
And now, just a few weeks after Ming's funeral, they're having to go right back to it. The previous funeral was so recent. Did you see an effect from that in your people?
It's just a overwhelming sense of not again. Like, we can't do this again.
Yeah.
I don't think it was even a question in my mind. It was, we're doing this again. And then you just start going through the list of things that need to happen.
I can think of my own experience, like, okay, we just went through this. Okay. Because I got word Simoncic was killed, and it was like, okay. I mean, on the one hand, I knew him where I didn't know Ming. And so this was way more personal, but I also am like, I can do this. I've just been through this. And so I know what to say, what to do, where to go. I feel like I had a command of that.
I absolutely know what you mean. And yes, to answer your question, I specifically remember calling one of my friends, mentors on the department during Ming's, and I said, I don't know why people keep asking me questions. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I was like, I mean, I've done events, right? Like, I've done community events and those kinds of things. And I'm telling her this on the phone, and I'm like, this isn't that. This is so much bigger and so much more important. And I am so out of my depth right now and just trying to figure it out and make sure that it works out okay. It was a very different feeling for Simoncic. It was very much, okay, we got to do this again. Let's get things done.
Yeah.
And it was, unfortunately, because of the time frame, because we had just went through this, I knew what to do.
Yeah, there's a weird comfort in that you knew what to do, where to go, because I was feeling the same thing. It's like, okay, I know what the debriefs will look like. I know what going and contacting the officers will look like because I had just done it.
Right.
And so there was a comfort in that, I think, which is weird. Again, it's not something you want to be comfortable with.
Right.
I'd rather never have known, let alone go through it twice.
Right.
So
you don't want enough practice to get proficient in this.
No. Okay. So the funeral happened quicker with Simoncic.
Much quicker.
And so we had a very long lead up to Ming's funeral, but Simoncic, we turned that around in like a week.
Yes.
And so what kind of things are you knocking out? Now you had exposure to it all, or you were in charge of some of it with Ming, but with Simoncic, what kind of things did you have to take into account? What were you arranging?
I mean, I think even from that night, responding out to the scene, getting resources in, having my traffic unit come in, the SWAT team came in to help with the scene, and then going to the funeral and just automatically transitioning to, okay, things are going to go quick. The family's on their way here. We have some time. What can we do right now while we're waiting for the family? Because the family's all out of town. So we were there for, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 hours, something like that at the hospital, waiting for the family. And at that point, you just feel extremely helpless. Like you're waiting to see the family of the officer that you just lost.
Yeah.
And so staying busy works very well for me in times like that. So we started transitioning to, all right, we're going to need family liaisons. If the family doesn't have a request for an officer, we need to be ready to say, hey, we'd like you to meet so-and-so. And
because they're 2 hours out of town, 2.5, something like that.
Yeah.
And so that stuff. So they weren't a local family.
Correct.
That was difficult.
Right.
One of the funeral homes was out of town. What did he? Yeah. And so that was everything with Ming was inside our county.
Yeah.
But with Simoncic, we had multiple things that were outside of our jurisdiction. So you're coordinating with those agencies, I presume.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I learned delegation very well during Simoncic's funeral. There was almost 2 of everything. There were a lot more escorts to be done. There were 2 different funerals, 2 different honors given. I mean, because I framed it in my mind as the law enforcement funeral is in Kansas City, and the family funeral, the personal funeral, his burial is going to be in Parsons. And so you're almost planning for both of those. Yeah. And they were one day apart. So one day we have it here. The very next day we're traveling to
go to support the family funeral. Yeah. So when you were putting this together and you got the family liaison team corresponding with the family, you're handling all the logistics, you're talking to different agencies. Did you have anybody from outside come in like you did for the sheriff's office? Because you just kind of showed up and started helping. Did anyone do that for you, or did you need it?
Yeah, they did.
We had a pretty good team within our department.
Absolutely. And I think that was the difference. I think the difference was that we just ran it. We just dealt with Deputy Ming.
Yeah.
And that same core group of people came back together. Now, I definitely had phone numbers from the sheriff's office that were on speed dial. I was like, hey, I need you to go do this for me. And every time it was, yes, let me know what else I can do.
I saw several deputies that came and were helping at different stages. I saw Deputy Morris and others that were there.
So I think the offer was overwhelmingly there. I saw Under Sheriff Lockridge. I saw Sheriff Soptic. Their command. Everyone that I saw would come up and just be like, hey, we are here. Use us. Please call us.
Yep. We had peer support coming in from other agencies, helping police and fire.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every movement we did, every time we needed to escort Simoncic, we had the sheriff's office cars there as well in force. I mean, they were they were extremely supportive.
Which was almost daily because he had to be moved a couple times. And we were, like I said, we turned this around in a week, but he had multiple moves.
A lot of moves.
Yeah. And so there was, because we had him lie in state in the department headquarters.
Correct.
And he was at a funeral home, at 2 different funeral homes, as I understand it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there was some moving around.
Yes.
Quite a bit. Yeah. So let's go to the day of the funeral. So I get pulled in a few days before, and I'm going to officiate. I'm going to be the MC. Okay. And I was in a meeting with you a day or two before, and then, we were at the practice the day before, the evening before, and we're moving, a lot of moving parts. And you were running around taking care of things. Captain Holloway was doing, there's a lot of people running around taking care of stuff.
Yeah.
The day of the funeral, I get there at 5 a.m, and there's meetings with with everybody. So all the color guard had a big meeting, and we had people from I don't know how many agencies.
Well, because you have to think we have calls for service that still need answered. So you had a whole different ops plan for how our city was being covered during the funeral, so our officers could go.
Yeah,
and then you had SWAT support, EOD support, gate security, ushers.
So
inside.
I'm walking in the tunnel. This is a Major League Soccer stadium, and I'm walking through one of the back hallway tunnel parts, and I come across a bunch of guys dressed out in camo and long rifles and everything. That was the counter sniper team, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
I have never done a funeral with a counter sniper team before.
We always have them.
No, it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah.
I'm glad they do. And I saw lots of other people who were working in the sense that they were keeping us all safe while we were doing the funeral.
Absolutely.
And
so we had EOD there. We had the SWAT coverage. We had a couple different units? Points within EOD. Okay. I think the sniffer dogs. We had a couple different agencies helping with ushering and making sure the seating went well. We had a local agency captain who assisted with the timing for the flyover. So he was kind of our on-ground coordinator. And then you had 3 different agencies with the helicopters to actually do the flyover.
A great fire captain who can run a color guard.
Yeah,
he sounds like your stereotypical drill sergeant from Central Casting.
He's great.
Oh, he's fantastic. He looks the part and sounds the part.
Yes.
And I was worried his voice hadn't recovered from the deputy's funeral, and now he's doing the officer's funeral, and he's without a microphone, the whole stadium can hear him giving 100%. Orders to the color guard.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I asked him. I was like, "Hey, do you?" So we're running through the timing of the funeral, right? So this is probably, I don't know, a few days before the funeral. So the color guard's there, and we're running through. How is this going to actually work? How is the color guard going to get out there? How's everyone going to get on the floor and get seated? When is the program going to start?
You got to march the rifle team out. You got the pipe band.
All of that requires planning and timing and everyone to be on the same page. And so I had asked him, I was like, "Hey, Robbie, for the audience and the officers to stand up, do you want us to make an announcement? All uniformed personnel, please rise over the speaker." He's like, "No." I'm like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Oh, they'll hear me." I'm like, "All right. I'm fine, you do you." And he did.
And he and I coordinated a little bit with what I was going to say from the microphone. I was up on the, at the lectern, on the podium. Right. And he and I coordinated a little bit about some of the verbiage, what should I say, as honors are being rendered at the end of the funeral portion. We get to the honors portion.
Correct.
And, what language were we going to use? We kind of worked through that a little bit. I think Captain Holloway was in that conversation too. Yeah. And it was just really, really good. But a component that people weren't anticipating was that we have helicopters in the air that are going to fly formation over the stadium at an exact moment at the end of taps.
You're hoping so. Yeah.
And so they're in the air. We can't run 20 minutes long in the funeral portion.
Not at all.
Because they're burning fuel.
Yes.
And so we have to stick with it.
Yeah.
you had a couple of detectives who were in the tunnel, and I was seated on the podium. I'm seated where I can look down the tunnel, and they're sending me hand signals like every speaker is speaking. They're timing it, and they're sending me signals like I'm supposed to steal second base, right?
Like, hey,
and we communicated pretty well.
Yeah.
And I think it worked.
It worked well.
We kept pretty close to on time. A couple ran over. One made up some time. Toward the end, my introductions got very short because I was trying to shave off a few seconds. But then once the professional honors were rendered, that was timed down to the second.
Perfectly.
Because now the aircraft are inbound, and we have to be able to have taps played and the aircraft show up at the correct time.
Yes.
And that took some doing.
It's a little nerve-wracking.
Yes.
It really is.
Yeah. And those helicopters were there. I think we were within a few seconds. I think they showed up at just the right time.
I think so too. It went really well. It's difficult to coordinate, and it's one of those aspects, like you were talking earlier about what the family wants and what the family needs versus the department and that honors rendered to fallen. And it's trying to balance those. So you don't want to give too short of a time frame or say, hey, we need you to be exactly at this time. But then hopefully you have people on stage like you that can kind of make up that time or draw it out a little bit so we can still keep everything together.
Well, of course, I think I played the pivotal role.
I think
right?
You did.
Oh, yeah,
100%.
definitely. That was the most important part there, really.
That 30 seconds makeup was on point. It's the only reason it worked.
But I tell you, I think it is important if you're putting together a line of duty death funeral, especially if you've got these different components, that you need to be on time, that somebody is running that service.
Oh, 100%.
And that they are aware of what's going on.
Yes.
I did not deliver a funeral homily. I didn't do any eulogies. I was there to introduce things and to keep things moving. And I was working. I was communicating with the team, and we were doing that. I think that is an important part, but far more important is the practice.
Yes.
The night before. I think that's what was really critical.
It has to be. And I think of it like you have a plan, or someone can have a plan and be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. But then getting to the how behind that. Like, how are we going to do that? How's that going to work? Like the silent obituary reading. Who's going to tell everyone that it's a silent reading?
Yeah.
Or are we just going to have this long pause? And I know you and I had that conversation during rehearsal. Like, hey, I need some type of announcement here. Like, we got to say something so that the public knows what we're supposed to be doing right now. It's the little things of how do we take what's on paper and turn it into something that's going to honor our officer.
Yeah. There's so many parts here that you learn from the first funeral that you apply to the second. Who is capturing that information if, heaven forbid, there's a third?
Now, there's another ops plan. It's
all freshly revised.
70 pages, I think. Yeah.
70 pages.
It's a lot. Delegation matters. Having the people that you can just say, hey, you are in charge of outside agencies running our calls for service. Go figure it out. You're in charge of the parking for the funeral and making sure everything's lined up for the procession. Go figure it out. You deal with the SWAT teams and making sure that we have coverage for the actual thing. You're in charge of gate security. You're in charge of making sure that the family gives us the answers that they need. You're in charge of the helicopter flyover. You're in charge of the honor guard. You're in charge of all of the things. And you find someone who you can say, I need you to figure this out.
Yeah.
And I don't want to answer questions. You know what I mean? Like, I'll help you. But primarily,
but you need to tackle this.
Yes, I need you to go figure this out and make a plan for it. And we'll meet right back here tomorrow morning.
Yeah. And
we'll go over what the plan is. And if we're missing something, let's talk about it as a group. And if we're not, then go forth and do what you need to do. Because one person can't do all of this. One person can't answer questions about every aspect of this funeral. You have to have people who can lead, who can make decisions, and who can make things actually happen.
Yeah.
Especially with all of the different things that are going on, the vigil, the movements, the funeral, the next funeral in Parsons. It's a lot. And so you have to be able to trust that people are going to take their assignment, run with it.
Yeah.
And thankfully, that's exactly what happened for us. I think there are so many things going on when we lose an officer. And I think that there's a lot being thrown at that agency. And so while I'm always happy to help, and if I got a phone call that said, hey, we want you to come over and help us with this, absolutely, I'm there. I worry about overwhelming people because they're always going to have their go-to people, right? Each agency is going to have those people within them that they're like, hey, we need your help on this.
Yeah.
And I am always willing to assist however I can. But I do worry about all of the phone calls that they're getting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That your phone's blown up. Hey, we're sorry to hear about it. Hey, what happened? We're thinking about you. Can we do anything for you? And I think a lot of times you can be so overwhelmed that you don't know what to ask for.
Yeah. At every funeral, at every death of any kind, there are so many calls that the family receives. Like, if you need anything, let us know.
Right,
That's
but
so
I don't know
vague.
what I need.
Right. Yeah. You don't know what you need.
Yeah. Like
right.
I specifically remember during the visual briefing for Ming, and I had someone come up to me and they're like, Shenee, what do you need? I'm like, I have no idea.
Right.
Like there's so many things that need to happen. I don't even know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yes, I am absolutely willing to assist with other agencies. And I think maybe an email or a text message. But I also think that sometimes that far reach of not being there and readily available to just start doing things, sometimes that can get overwhelming to have that many reach out.
See, because that's what I would want to help give a couple pointers, but I don't want to be involved because I think that it's good for that, assuming that you're not talking about like an agency of 8 people, right? That's different.
Yeah.
But if it's a medium to large agency, it's important that their own people do it. I don't want to do funerals for other officers at other agencies.
Right. Yes.
You know, I am glad I was involved with our funerals here in Wyandotte County. Yeah. But I don't want to tour. Right. Be involved like that. But if I can help the people who are involved, I'd love to have a brief conversation and say, hey, here's my top 3 things. And maybe that would be what I could offer and then back off so they're not overwhelmed. I think we're on the same page.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. You've mentioned several people today. Is there anybody else you want to mention that you just really appreciate how they stepped up or how they were involved or what they contributed?
So many people. Captain Holloway for Simoncic came back from a conference that he was at in D.C. and he called while I was still at the hospital and he said, hey, I heard I'm looking at changing flights. I can be home this afternoon. And I'm like, yes, please. Absolutely. You know, we had a great group. Captain Thorne, I think, had went back to headquarters the morning of, and I think I was still maybe dealing with an escort, and he texts me and he's like, hey, I'm at headquarters. Not really sure where to start with this. And I'm like, well, I would do, here's like 10 things we can start doing. You know what I mean? If I were at my office right now, here's a list of things that running through my head that I can think that we probably need to do. And by the time I even made it to headquarters, he was done with half the list, you know. Captain Dorset, I called him from the hospital and I was like, hey, Colonel and I are talking about family liaison options, and I think he would be a fantastic fit. What do you think? He's like, yeah, thank you. We had a couple detectives, Lily Sheff and Amber Thomas. I got a phone call from Chief. So we had somewhat started handling the vigil. I was like, hey, get a couple dates together because the family is going to be in town today, right? They're coming to the hospital, and then once that's done, we're going to meet up with them. And like, there's some things that we should probably start at least putting in their mind. And so I had asked Thorne to get some dates together for a vigil, like figure it out, get with building logistics, whoever you need to make sure that 2 dates give me options, and we can give those options to the family. And so we had started on that, but we hadn't planned everything that it takes to get it from paper to being an actual vigil. And Chief called me and he's like, what have you done for the vigil so far? I was like, well, this. And he's like, okay, Amber and Lily are up here. They're handling it. Fantastic. Thank you. And I met with them maybe once or twice and I said, hey, here's some things that I've learned from past vigils that we've done. And here's some things to think about. Let me know if you need anything. And they would text me every once in a while or we'd be in contact. But they took it, they ran with it. And as soon as the vigil was done, I was like, I need you two to be at the next meeting for the funeral.
And these are two detectives. They're both in peer support.
Mm-hmm.
They know what they're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, hit the ground running. And I text both of them after and I was just like, I'm so glad that you guys showed up and you helped out. And Katie Yarslick, called her on her day off and she was, I think, out sick. And I was like, hey, we need to get videos and pictures for the family from across the department. They want as many pictures as they can, we have our department photo. They want photos of Simoncic with his shift and during roll call and being silly, you know what I mean? And so she right away, yep, absolutely, don't worry about it. The funeral home, I had her on speed dial and was texting her at all hours like, hey, has anyone thought about how we're going to play the last call at the Parsons funeral? The family decided they wanted the last call played at the burial site. And the night before, I'm texting her at like 7:30 at night. And I'm like, hey, did you think about this? She's like, no, but I have a JBL speaker. I'll bring it. Thank you.
Wow.
It's just like, I'm sure I'm forgetting people, but there's just so many.
Oh, you've got the three agencies that provided helicopters. You have the Major League Soccer team, Sporting KC.
Oh my God, yes.
They just opened up twice in 1 month, opened up their entire stadium for these line of duty death funerals. And that's incredible.
That is a good point. I'm glad you said that. I was at the funeral home with the family and got a call from Nick at Sporting KC. And he was just like, hey, I'm just calling to check on you. And I was like, all right, I'm all right. And he's like, I know you just did this and I'm guessing you're going to be involved again. And I'm like, yeah, we're at the funeral home now. He's like, anything that you need, just let me know. And I said, well, how do you feel about the possibility of hosting a luncheon for the entire PD and the family?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, absolutely. We'll make that happen. I'm like, all right.
I can't imagine what that cost. The stadium and the helicopters, I can't imagine how much those entities, the agencies and the professional sports team, I can't imagine what it cost them to help us. And yet they did. It's just incredible.
Yeah. And thank you. Doesn't seem like enough. You know what I mean? Like when they're just so willing and so, and not even like they want to. Yeah. They want to help. You know what I mean? Like he's reaching out just saying, hey, I'm just checking on you. And if we can do anything, let us know. And then they follow through with it. You ask for something that you're like, I know this is kind of out of reach, but we don't have a burial and there's nowhere to really end the procession. And the family just wants to be around as many cops as they can. Like, can we make this happen? And they do.
Yeah. And we had people travel. We had certainly Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska. We had a lot of agencies travel for both funerals. Mm-hmm. But I know at Ming's funeral, I was going around and taking pictures of people's shoulders patches before the funeral started. And we had NYPD, we had Chicago, Memphis, Dallas. We had people from all over the country that came to Kansas City, Kansas to go to those funerals. And so that was very meaningful. Yes. Let alone the agencies that came in and helped work, whether it's sending, SWAT team members or running calls for service or whatever the arrangements were. Yeah. There were people coming in to help us, but there were people just coming to attend. And that was meaningful to us too.
Yeah.
And so.
And the motor groups, we had officers from the Metro that showed up to every single one of our escorts. Yeah. Parsons, and just the support's overwhelming. Yeah. Like it's very...
Nothing like doing...
comforting and humbling.
I don't know how many, 6 or 10 motorcades in an 8-day span. That's a lot of work.
It was.
And
it was a lot.
Yeah.
And they handled it very well.
Well, you did a great job leading, and we appreciate you. Thank you for coming in today.
Thanks.
I want to thank Captain Davis for coming in to talk about the impossible job that she did to organize those 2 funerals. All of the moving parts and the thousands of decisions that had to be made fell on her and the team at the sheriff's office and the police department, and they handled it with a professional attention to detail. One of the jobs Shenee mentioned as being particularly difficult was the role of family liaison. So next week, I'm going to offer a part 2, a companion episode to this interview, and I'll be talking to another captain who was one of our family liaisons for Officer Simoncic's family. He will walk you through the entire process and experience and what it means to be in between the competing needs of the grieving family and your own agency. That's next week on Hey Chaplain. The views expressed here are the personal views of the host and our guest and do not necessarily represent the views of any law enforcement agency or its components. If you appreciated this episode, please share it with a cop or someone who loves a cop. Thank you for listening to Hey Chaplain, and as always, let's pray for peace in our city.